It's been 7 weeks since a gunman opened fire inside Robb Elementary School in Uvalde, Texas, killing 19 children and 2 teachers. As William Brangham reports, new surveillance footage out today sheds light on what happened inside the school on that tragic day. And a warning, some viewers may find this material disturbing.
Judy, it is still an open question why it took officers such a long period of time to confront the shooter inside the school. This 4-minute video compilation was released by the Austin American-Statesman. It was compiled from over 70 minutes of footage. The video shows the shooter entering the school, going down a hallway where he then shot over 100 rounds into 2 classrooms. 3 minutes later, the first officers arrive, armed and in bulletproof vests. They're shot at and pull back. Within about half an hour, dozens of officers with long guns and shields take up positions in the hallway. Later, more shots are heard from down the hall. 77 minutes in, law enforcement enters the classroom and kill the gunman. Investigative reporter Tony Plohetski is of the Austin American-Statesman. He acquired this never-before-seen footage. Tony, great to have you back on the NewsHour. I wonder, this is such a striking document of what we've all been wondering is what had actually happened in there. What stands out the most to you from this video?
I think, first of all, just the image of a man walking so casually into an elementary school in our country carrying an AR-15. Certainly, there has been much conversation and much reporting about the law enforcement response, but I think that this video really highlights that whatever happened that day began with that man and an AR-15 walking into that school. But there are other striking moments as well, including a small child who apparently is exiting the bathroom and peeks around the corner and sees the gunman walking down the hall, and then the sound of gunfire, and he runs back into the bathroom. But then again, just watching the law enforcement officers in that hallway, as yet more and more assault rifles are brought to the hallway, as more protective equipment arrives, as tear gas canisters arrive. Experts say that they had more than enough, many minutes before they went into that school, more than enough equipment and firepower to take on this gunman.
That delayed response has been blamed on the school district police chief. But this video does show that there were local, state, and federal agencies all amassed in that hallway. This seems to undercut some of the argument of blaming just one agency. And do we have any better sense of why it took them so long, where that chain of command fell apart?
Well, certainly, William, investigators and the head of the Texas Department of Public Safety has described this as a failure of law enforcement and not singling out one particular agency. Keep in mind, and the video certainly substantiates this, and that is there were law enforcement officers from the local community there in Uvalde, as well as state police and federal agents there as well. We know that ultimately it was a team led by the Border Patrol that breached that classroom door at 12:50. Keep in mind the gunman entered the school at 11:33 in the morning.
Yes, this seems to sort of, again, knock down the idea that the shooter was no longer a threat. We heard shots after all the police were inside there, that this was still an active shooter and not a shooter who was barricaded and didn't need to be confronted.
Well, and not only that, William, it's also very much worth noting as part of this that there were repeated 911 calls as well from children and adults alike, asking for help, describing the extent of their injuries. And yet again, so much time elapsed before we know that they ultimately breached that classroom door, really going against what experts resoundingly say is the way law enforcement should handle these types of situations.
And we know, lastly, that parents and members of that community have wanted to see this video and to understand what happened much better. We know there was a rally in town on Sunday night where many people expressed a real sense of distrust about the police. this seems like this is only going to confound that concern.
Certainly, there have been many calls for increased transparency among the families of the victims of what happened that terrible day. And frankly, that helped drive our decision to publish and air this video as we have done today.
Tony Plohetski of the Austin American-Statesman, again, thank you so much for your superb reporting.
Thank you.